So welcome again to the Silence Under Order annual retreat for 2025. It's a banner year for us. Next year is a big year as well, in terms of anniversaries. And tonight we will not go into a lot of my background. We'll have a little bit of personal information on my relationship with Matsuoka Roshi later on. But I'm accompanied by Fumon Borko Jovanovic. You pronounce it Ich? Ich. Jovanovic. And Paisan John Lyle, who is Borko's affiliated with the Chicago Home Tempo, now in Evanston, and the original temple being on Halsted Street. And Taizan is affiliated with the Atlanta Soto Zen Center. Been here for some time. How long ago did you come to Gander Park?
I started in about 85 or 6.
85. So they both met Matsuoka Roshi, and we'll have something to say about that later. I will be interviewing them. But first, we'd like to give you a little background. I did a PowerPoint, and not yet, don't put it up yet. There was a school found out about us and contacted us, a middle school in Johns Creek, which is a nice little community about an hour north of Atlanta. And there was a guy, Brennan Bass, who was a resident at that time. He was also a guitar player. He wasn't a jazz guitarist, but he was a kind of a rock and roll, heavy metal blues guitarist. Mike Goldman ended up giving him a guitar out of his collection of something like 80 stringed instruments. And Brennan was quite active and enthusiastic, so he wanted to accompany me. And so we go to this middle school, and it turns out we're presenting to fifth graders, and they told us a little bit about this beforehand. But they had 5 classes of fifth graders, 100 students in each class. So we ended up presenting to 500 students, 12-year-olds, one class after another, 5 classes, 1 hour after another. So we took an entire hour to present this and take questions and answers. I was expecting Bubbleville, outside the perimeter here in Georgia, but it turned out to be like the United Nations. I mean, there were people from every ethnic background. A lot of the students raised their hand when I asked them if they had a Buddhist background. They were Asian. So it was a delightful thing. It was astonishing, the size and nature of the classes. So we put this together for 11th graders, or fifth graders who are 11, 12 years old. And it's not dumbed down by any means. And the way we presented it there, we would stay on a slide for a while, and I would ask people from the audience to read the different quotes. So we have quotes from Matsuoka and quotes from Chinese teachers and so forth. And they enthusiastically did that. So by the end of the hour, it was a very participatory type of experience for them. And it seemed to be well received. Tonight, we will go through it on automatic advance. It'll be about 10 seconds per slide, and I'll make a few comments about each slide. But if you want to follow up on details or want to ask questions at the end, I'll certainly be glad to answer them. But you'll be able to find a link to this online, which I think COSETS will provide for us. Let us know what it is. So if we want to start the PowerPoint now, just full screen. You can get to the title slide. First slide.
You have to be a little patient, okay?
I know.
Screen takes a moment to update and refresh.
30 blows of my stick.
Um,
He's going to try and work me.
and where was it again?
To the top left, the little next to the square, very top. Keep clear side. Or actually,
It's not.
right there.
Here.
Oh, one.
Yeah.
There we go. Can we rearrange the view so that that is either on done? Okay, it's already moving. So this is a little bit of the story on Siddhartha Gautama, and you can see there he looks like a very young person. Then it goes into more of the representations of his life and some of the periods of his life. Very quickly, without too much copy on every page. And these are quotes from Loving Kindness Sutra, the Metta Sutta, which many of you are familiar with. So we read this whole thing so that they could hear some of the tone of the teaching of that time. And let's see here. Okay. Oh, I don't know if it's not advancing again.
That doesn't work. Good. Okay. That was weird.
Okay, so then I went into the what I like to call the monsters of Zen.
Yeah.
Monsters of Zen, including Nagarjuna. Monsters is a term used in jazz. We speak of the monsters of jazz, such as Thelonious Monk or, Charlie Parker, people who were so good they were scary. And so in Zen, we have those kind of people. We have Nagarjuna, just touching on a few of the high points in the history coming from India.
Just tell me you want to go to the next slide.
Next slide. Wonderful. Bodhidharma, and there's a picture of the actual cave on the lower right there. He was attributed with establishing martial arts. All this kind of thing was interesting to the 12-year-olds. Next slide, please. Thank you. Then quotable quotes from Master Bodhidharma. How much merit have I accumulated? No merit. What's the supreme meaning? Vast emptiness, nothing sacred. Who is that in front of us? Don't know. Advanced. Okay, so there's a map showing where the sort of trajectory of Buddhism starting in northern India, crossing China into Korea, into Japan, and then about coming to America in the 1800s there, So and Shaku attended a world convocation. So just kind of give them a little bit of the background trajectory. Next slide. And then China, these are the three masters that we have in liturgy. We have Kanchi Sosan, and he's Sekido Kisen, Tozan Ryokai. Remarkable thing here is look at 606, 700, 800. Exactly, almost exactly a century apart in their tenure. And each of them was so dramatically effective in transmitting Zen. I just thought that was an ironic little twist of history. Next slide, please. So here are quotes from them, from Sekido Kisen, Kanchi, Tozan. Great way is not difficult. That's the Shinsing Ming. Many of you are familiar with. Then in the middle is the Precious Mirrors Samadhi. These are the chants we've been doing on a daily basis. And then the last one is Tozan's Precious Mirror Samadhi. The middle one is what? Sandokai. So these are things that are familiar with us, but I thought it would be interesting for these students at this age to hear something like this, which at one and the same time doesn't explain anything, but is kind of intriguing. Next slide, please. So then go into how it came through Korea to Japan and a little more closer up. And then our founding teacher, Reverend Soya Matsuoka, came to America in 1939. This is before we tweaked that to be 1940. I tend to think the ship may have left in December 1939 and arrived January 1940. I'm not sure. His mother told him to go die in America and so forth. So Zen Buddhism had finally circled the globe was the point that I wanted to make. Next slide, please. And then we go to Ehe Dogen, jumping back to him, and making this remarkable comparison with Hongzhi. On the right there, you see he's sitting in the same chair, same footstool, same slippers. So that had to precede Dogen by about 100 years. We think Hongzhi was Nyojo's teacher, right? So Nyojo was China, Hongzhi was before him. I'm not a historian or scholar, so don't hold me to this, but I just thought it was remarkable that whoever painted Dogen there on the left, that formal portrait had to have seen, or they had to have a copy of this painting Mahonga in order to do the 45 Rembrandt, as we say, and do the same pose, the same setup, and so forth. Next slide. So this comes a quote from Dogen, actualizing the fundamental point, the Genjo Koan. So this is starting to say some very basic things to a 12-year-old. Study the world, study the self, forget the self, and so forth. You can see that they could understand, I think, something like that, right? It's because at that point in their life, they're very self-conscious and so forth. Next slide. So I want to explain that we now, we're following Dogen's teachings. We're essentially transmitting Dogen's teachings of meditation to modern times, and started to explain that we have all these tools and all these ways that we're doing it, like textbooks and things of that nature. Next slide. So this jumps to Matsuoka Roshi and saying there's his birth dates, trained in Dogen Zen, making the connection there and so forth. And later this year, the 80th anniversary was coming to America. So that would have been 2020. Yeah, 2020. So this was 5 years old, showing when he was older and when he was younger. On the right there, that's about the age I originally met him. He was a little older when I met him. But he was a young man when he came to America. He was 20, he came in 1940, he was born in 12, so he's like 27, 28. I was in my mid-20s when I met him, and Dogen was in his mid-20s when he went to China. And Huineng, was in his mid-20s when he had his profound enlightenment experience. So there's something about the mid-20s, especially for males, that may not be true for females, something about finishing wiring the brain and becoming aware of mortality and all that kind of thing. That seems to be the decade in which most the ancestors have approached Zen. Some of them were late bloomers. Next slide, please. So there's some quotable quotes. Zen is always contemporary. Never give up. If anything, modern science is proving the Zen principle that all in the universe is one. So forth. Don't be a come and go type, a wishy-washy type. Without Zen, you must work your way through every bone in your body. So different students would read these out. And some of these are quotes that I heard. Some got written down in one or more of his written talks. There's a sitting mountain feeling that Zenku mentioned the other day. And the one in the middle I like, especially for 12-year-olds. Zen keeps the men younger and the women more beautiful. Next slide, please. So this is a nod to the female ancestors. There was a big move, the Soto Zen Buddhist Association, to recognize the female lineage, even though it wasn't historically documented. And they certainly don't claim to have a one-to-one, mind-to-mind transmission all the way down the lineage. And when you study the lineage on the male side, it's really not true. There are dog legs in it, there are broken places, and interesting. But the women's project was a lot of scholars like Tigan Dan Layton and others just dug into the past, and they dug up all of these. So on the left there is what you might call the prehistoric ones that are rumored to have exist, and they have some record that these people in Prajna, Paramita, and then one of these was Buddha's mother. Then you go into the second bamboo, and those are all Indian. Down the middle is the Chinese, and over on the right here are the Japanese. And as you can see, there are more of them, and we're more sure of their actual existence closer we get to the present. And this was one of several proposed certificates that I produced for Grace Shireson, who was a leading light in the Soto Zen Buddhist Association. And she was wanting to recognize the women and have for the women who had women students to have a special certificate that they could fill in the last name and put their chop on it and get something. So this was one of many designs that I came up with. Next slide, please. Then I jumped to this to say nowadays we're trying to express these teachings in more modern terms. I explain to them this is called semantic modeling. It's a way of mapping out what you're trying to talk about, the Four Noble Truths in the middle, Eightfold Path, and so forth that you may have heard of. Some students, even this young, have heard of that. And that there are different ways to look at them and understand them, so forth. Next slide, please. Didn't go into great detail on that one, of course. And I tried to make the point graphically. I explained I'm a designer, trained in graphic design. There's some of these ideas that come from Buddhism that are hard to understand. When you visualize them, you can kind of see what they're talking about. So here, like Sangha is in the foothills. Most people come into a community and start practicing, or even if you read a book, you're reading a book from somebody who's in a Dharma community of some kind. So that's kind of like the foothills. It's pretty easy going. You're in a communal situation, but there's also quicksand, there are briar patches, and so, Sangha is not always a real pleasant experience for people. I didn't go into this great detail. Then as you move into studying the Dharma, it's like the slopes of the mountain. You're kind of on your own. You can have a teacher, you can have people helping you through it. It's kind of one toe hold, one foot hold, one finger hold at a time. You're climbing this mountain inch by inch. And finally, if and when you reach the top, this is like the peak, and this is Buddha. So Sangha Dharma, Buddha. Buddha would be the meditation. And at the top of a mountain, you're in danger of your life. You could be blown off by a storm, thin atmosphere, hard to breathe, et cetera, et cetera. So as an analogy or a metaphor, I was trying to get this across. And then when you come down from the mountain, when you have had some sort of direct experience in meditation, you come back down the slopes, which can be more dangerous than going up the slopes. Dharma looks very different from that perspective. And when you come into the foothills again, back into the community from the back door, through the back door, community looks very different. And when you re-enter the world looks very different. So I explained some of these terms, samsara means the everyday world and so forth. Next slide, please. So a deep dive into Zen meditation, which I explained it as we think is the simplest, 100% natural way to meditate. Next slide. So I went through this chart a little bit, showing attention, breath, posture, the paramitas, the spheres within, focal points, and so forth. Matsuoka's model of attention, posture, and breath. Just that simple. And then it's all repeat after that repetition. Next slide. And also going into what's actually going on when you're sitting there, which seems I'm not doing anything, nothing is happening. And these are all of the bones, the organs, the functions that are going on at all times. So trying to get the idea across that we're really not in control of much of anything that is happening. And that's one of the things we accept in Zen. We sort of surrender to the fact that we cannot control all of this. Next slide, please. And it's probably important kids in school to understand. And I talked a little bit about this. You have your own personal bubble that you're in. There's a social realm outside of you, your family and friends and so forth, moving out into society. And beyond that is the natural world. And beyond that is the universe. I talked a little bit about how little effect you can really have going outward from the personal sphere, but how much effect comes in from the outside into your personal realm, from the social realm, from the natural realm, like COVID, from the universal realm. Like they're all perfectly aware that an asteroid can hit the Earth and do some damage. So I wanted to set the context. Next slide, please. So then I started putting it together, saying that the Four Noble Truths that we had just talked about a little bit talk about the existence of suffering, its origin, the path, and the cessation of suffering. And I said, cessation would have to come in the personal realm. It would have to be for you personally. You would experience the cessation of confusion, suffering, ignorance, etc. in your life. The source, the origin of our suffering, according to Buddhism, is biology, basically. It's natural. We're born into this situation, born of body, mouth, and mind. We don't control it. And that's where, so there's nothing wrong with suffering. It's perfectly natural, aging, sickness, death. And the path itself, the way to follow this path, is definitely in the social sphere. And then the existence of suffering is not a personal thing. It's not. It's a universal principle. Galaxies colliding. It's dukkha or something. Next slide, please. And went into a little bit more of how the three treasures overlap with these same spheres. The Sangha being obviously and mostly in the social sphere, but how it overlaps the personal, overlaps the natural and the universal, taking care, being stewards of the environment, stewards of the exterior environment, stewards of the community, and so forth. So I related each of these three treasures, as we call them, to those spheres that they should be familiar with, that they see themselves living in. Next. Thank you. So let's not go into this too deeply, but I touched on this a little bit about how these things all occupy these spheres. I'm trying to show them that there's a little more scientific way of looking at this and visualizing, conceiving of this that is beyond something that is simply lines of words on a page in a book. Next slide, please. So these are the artifacts or the collateral material that we've developed for this. They're in school, they have textbooks, they have their notepads, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to show them how we're trying to teach this process. Next slide. All the different things that we do, like we have the visual aids and the training devices. Next, please. And we make home altars. We provide for home practice, trying to provide the implements, the necessary accessories that somebody may need for their home practice. Next slide. And here we are at the Atlanta Soto Zen Center. We've established a meditation hall where people can come and sit and meditate. It's designed for this purpose. And just showing them it's a real tangible place. It's in Atlanta, and they're welcome to come if their teachers want to bring them down. Next slide. And showing them the photograph of the inside so they can see a welcoming kind of warm space. Next slide, please. And the friendly community. These are, this goes back sometimes. You can see Pumon is over here on the left, Porpoise there. And some of the other culprits.
Are all four of the horsemen in there?
I think so. I see Brian is in the pack right, close to you. I think that's you in the back.
Yeah, that's me in the back right. Thomas is on the right, and Frederick LeCoux is center.
Frederick is center bottom. Yep, those are the four horsemen. Okay, so next slide. So hope it was not what you thought it was. First line said, hope it's not what you think it is. I think it's not what you think it is. That was it. Okay, let's stop. And at this point, I'd like to just ask, let's start with John. Taizan was here early, and your first exposure to Matsuoka Roshi, did any of that trigger anything for you? Not necessarily, but anything you had to say about when you first met him. Just think back to that first encounter and kind of share that with everybody.
My memory of Matsuoka is fairly vague because I only met him maybe twice or three times. I was intimidated by his kind of formal bearing because I tend to be intimidated by people of authority, but I have a clear picture of him at my Jukai at Candler Park. I can't remember, and maybe you will remember better than I do, whether he actually conducted the Jukai or if it was you conducting with his assistants.
Probably. He sent me I asked him about all this, and he sent me a letter, which we have in the archives, that said, if a person is sincere, blah, 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 then you can do these things. But he said, you can do this. He said, only I can do this. So I'm pretty sure Jukai was what he was allowing me to do at that time. But I could not do Shukai to Hokuto. I couldn't do any of the advanced ceremonies. So I think probably I did some of it, and he sort of stood up there with me, and we probably did it together, which is his way of training you, to have you do it with him.
And I remember Matsuoka being in his robes and the brocaded rakusu and having his book that he read from, and the windows at the top of the wall of what used to be the service bay and it's a very nice picture in my memory of him. And I also am very happy with the calligraphy that he did
Bring it close to the camera.
for my Rakusu. So that's a thing to treasure.
That's going to be rare in the future. Yours is in really good shape. They say your Rakusu reflects the shape your practices, and mine's all worn through.
I think mine reflects the times that I've neglected my practice and have not been here.
Okay, anything else you remember that you'd like to say, or anything you're thinking at the present moment?
The only other concrete memory I have of Matsuoka is a vague memory of us taking him to lunch. I think to a sushi place in Pershing Point, and that he was enjoying sake and sushi, and we
beer.
all were too.
Usually beer. Sorry, sake and beer. I don't know if that was lunch. It might have been dinner.
Yeah, that was, like I said, it's a vague memory.
Yeah, he was Suki. He was sake lover. He liked sake and beer. His favorite beer was Budweiser, which is kind of weird. You'd hold up a sake cup and say no alcohol. So one of the odd things about that you triggered a memory. When he came here, I think it was that time, we went out to dinner and we found a Japanese restaurant over, I think it's Pershing Point, over near West Peachtree, near the museum. And it turned out that the woman who owned that restaurant was his favorite restaurant in Chicago, and she had moved to Atlanta just by sheer coincidence. And that was quite a reunion for him.
Yeah.
So, Zinku, do you happen to remember that restaurant in Chicago? What her name was? I've lost track of that name now. I used to know her.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but I remember that was definitely where we always went. Tessen's got it. Go ahead, Tessen.
I think Keo.
Say it again.
Keo. Not
Keo's restaurant.
Kiyu. Not Kiyu. Not his brother.
No, Keo.
Keo.
How do you spell?
Kiyo.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
sure
she
if
was,
that was first name or last name, but she had a restaurant on Clark Street, I believe.
yeah.
And she also had like a little what do you call it? Like Japanese knickknack store,
Yeah.
cups and tea sets and different lacquer boxes and all that. Yeah, she was actually she was married to an American serviceman.
Huh.
Now that you say that,
Keo.
it makes me it triggers a memory that the name of the restaurant here was called Kyoya. Does that ring a
Keo,
bell?
yeah.
Kyoya.
It would be her name. It was named after her. So yeah, she recognized me, and of course she remembered Matsuoka. He was always flirting with the waitresses and saying things in Japanese that made them embarrassed. He's a troublemaker.
Yeah,
So good.
I remember
Go ahead.
talking with her, and she was shutting down her operation there, and I mentioned about Matsuoka, and she said, "Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, the Zen priest." And she, had some nice things to say, and she said, "But not the warm, cozy, fuzzy kind of, priest. It's like he was like he was the real thing. He was, he the Kyosaku was always, within reach. And
Gotcha.
she, I think she was a little, she liked him a lot, but a bit intimidated by him.
Yeah, yep, very much. And the businessmen in Japan really liked him. We went out with Mitsui Busan, which is the Sacho, Bucho, the four top guys of that company. We brought them. You always bring a gift of whiskey, so we brought Chivas Royal, I think it was, a big jar of that, and gave it to them. And they took us out, and all the businessmen really liked Matsuoka because he'd go out and drink with them and party, and he wasn't a stuffy, stodgy Zen priest, and he'd dress up like a Japanese businessman. And we were out one night, and we got into our cups. In the first place, we were eating sushi, the cuttlefish, the poison fish, the clear, transparent fish. The chef has to know how to slice, or it could kill you.
Fugo.
Yeah, and drinking sake and beer, basically. So at one point, we got to talking about Zen. There's always four guys. One is the number one guy, number two guy, Sacho Bucho, and then the third guy is always an eloquent, highly educated translator. And this guy was very tall and very sophisticated. And the second hand guy had long gray hair and a beard. And so he was kind of a hippie, rebellious, but they were very powerful businessmen. And the fourth guy is the step and fetch it, the go-getter. He would open the doors, go get the car, he'd do all that kind of stuff. There's always four. And so we got to talking about Buddhism, and we started chanting the chants, the short chants like four great vows, things like that. In this restaurant bar, Matsuoka Roshi leaned over to me and said, "Too precious, too precious." Wants to do that. So, how about you? Tell us a little bit about your first impressions and all that.
Yeah, thank you.
Come on.
Kumon. Well, I came into the Zendo 1990, and I was not in the upper class, so to speak. I was not a disciple. I was not anything there. So I kind of was on the margins. I remember Matsuoka sitting there like in his beautiful robes, sort of like a mountain, emotion around him, etc. And I think he spoke, and I think that was translated, but I don't remember much. What I remember is, as years went on, he was in Chicago. He was not in Chicago, but he came back to Chicago eventually, and he was not well. And by that time, I kind of was a somewhat recognized member of the community. And so me and Robert Moorhead were given the task to take him out to lunch, which we did a couple of times. I don't think he said much. He was sort of not there, really. He was so much there that we couldn't relate to it. But so we did that twice. We went to a Japanese restaurant or Chinese restaurant. I don't know, either one in Evanston. And then I think he got worse. And I was big friends with Robert Moorhead. So we spent a lot of time together, and I would hear about the temple and this and that and the other. Eventually, from what I understand now, he stayed with Stu for a while, but he was deteriorating, and he was taken to the nursing home. And I went with Stu once, and I remember walking in there, and he's fairly clean, everything. Everything was kind of pretty nice. But he was just there. He would be sitting like this, and I think he acknowledged us. Maybe Stu, maybe not. Certainly not me too much. And that was the last time I saw him. I mean, that was when did he die? What year?
That's 97.
97. Okay. So I was given a task also to, I don't know how many people remember, Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, Ray.
Yeah, Ray also died.
Yeah.
And I was the one who visited him just before that. So it was my job. But that's a different story. So I always think of this, sitting mountain feeling. That would come through Congo and through Hojo now and so forth. So that's what I remember about sitting mountain feeling. And then the few times I spent with him, he was exactly like a mountain there. Okay, there's nothing to say. And but in retrospect, I'm very happy I had that experience because he's the leader of the lineage here, and I've bounced back and forth over the years in Evanston and out and so forth. And I studied Tai Chi with Congo. Congo taught Tai Chi for a while. But then I was in and out due to the circumstances in the Zendo and so forth. In any case, I'm back. I've been going back so some years now. I don't know, 10 years here and there, and I see Stu holds service on Sundays at 2. So that's what I try to go to. And I feel it's kind of my home, although not all the parents are there. So that's eventually I met Eliston Roshi here, and I think in Stu's house in on one seminar. I think it was my last seminar because somebody snored so bad that I only would come for like a half a day, and then I didn't stay the night. Although people stay there, but such is life. In any case, I had a Dokusan with Eliston Roshi, and he said, "Come on, practice you all the way to enlightenment." And I was just stunned because I had given up on everything, and I was, as I described in one of my books, I was sitting in the morning to drink coffee. I thought it was a good way to drink coffee. So I sit for half an hour now. And in the evening, I was sitting because it was a good way to sober up. And that's how I explain things to myself. But I did sit. And then eventually we connected, and I connected with him. And my comments on Alistair Roshi is like, always people ask me, so what is he like? I say, he's very fun. I like that. So I'm here and continuing somewhat with Stu, and that's it for this.
So, what one thing would have something on a Dharma name? Did you want to say something about it quick?
Finish.
Okay, so, one thing you have in common with Matsuoka Roshi, he was a black belt judo, and he said in the training in Japan, you typically a monk would elect a martial art to study. He decided on judo. He became a black belt, and you're also black belt martial artist. You taught for many, many years. You have many students, followers. You have several teachers that you've talked about. And you, in your book, you mentioned something about, you get into something about martial arts. And his book is called
Reggie
Plays the Zen Card. That's a wonderful title. Would you like to read that part? Do you need more light?
I don't know if I need more light. I probably need glasses. So I took up karate when I was 16, and my teacher eventually became a Japanese teacher by the name of Tetsuji Murakami. I'm still in touch with his students. His center was in Paris. So in this book about say Reggie is a guy, and he plays a Zen card. So he plays with Zen, kind of back and forth and so forth. And there is some martial art elements. So this is a dream about Sensei Murakami, which is my sensei. So
Let me just say one thing about it. This is a wonderful book. It's all dialogue. It's kind of like reading a play.
well, a lot of it is dialogue. Anyway, so this is Reggie is dreaming, I suppose, and says, "Is that you, Sensei?" Sensei says, "I think so. Welcome." Reggie bows with respect. Sensei bows back. "It's nice to see you." Reggie, "I did not know you spoke English." Sensei smiles. "This is not English, nor French, nor Japanese." Reggie says, "I see." Sensei, "You will see more, but nothing changes." Reggie, "You have been dead for 40 years. Sensei shrugs. "Life, death, like most things, they're illusions. Welcome to the other side." I'll put on my glasses. Reggie, "Am I dead?" Sensei, "Not really. This is like a dream. What do you think?" Reggie, "I have no idea. Just going with the flow." Sensei, "Ah, well, alive, dead, there's so much fuss about all that. All very emotional. Imagine me smoking my pipe. No need for it really, but the image is satisfying to me and should remind you of me too. What is the difference?" Then he asks Reggie, "Do you still smoke?" Reggie, "Well, I guess late at night. I smoke a pipe just like you, Sensei." Reggie then looked at Sensei for a moment, and Sensei looked back at him. "Are you ready?" Reggie, "Yes." "Attack." Reggie went full blast with a long punch into Sensei. Sensei, not moving, taking the attack. "Very good. Did you notice anything?" Reggie, "Yes, it went right through you." Sensei, "That's right. We're both like air, so to speak." Reggie, "So this is all just mind?" Sensei, "More or less, but essentially correct. One does not really know what the world is made of, or the mind, or dreams, or bardo. It is all one big whole." Reggie said after a pause, "You know, I'm forever grateful to you." Sensei nods. "For teaching you?" "Yes." "Thank you, and you're welcome. But it is not my invention, just the way things are. I suspected it, but here it is, in full bloom. We're just affinities, attractions, winds, moving along." Reggie, "What do we do now?" Sensei, "This and that. Just keep your mind straight. You can meet all the people that matter to you eventually. Master Egami, Master Funakoshi, your parents, their parents, other people as well, old girlfriends and wives, husbands, back to time immemorial. They're all at hand. Not bad, huh?" "Yes, Sensei, not bad." Sensei says, "You never asked many questions." Reggie says, "Thank you, Sensei." Okay, on a different Sensei says, "Do they still make amphora pipe tobacco?" Reggie says, "I think so. I kind of miss the smell of it." "Well, make yourself at home. What should I do?" Sensei, "Follow me. Maybe we'll wander around a bit and then off to the Vulture Peak. The sermon is always on." Sounds like fun, Sensei. Sensei. It kind of is, isn't it? That's the section. I think it's a good way to answer this. It kind of is, isn't it?
It's a wonderful way to write. It's amazing to have a dialogue all the way through most of it. So anyway, the book is available on Amazon,
It's an Amazon $9.99.
cheap at the price.
That's what they set up.
So anything else you'd like to say regarding Matsuoka or your? Oh, one thing I wanted to ask you, Frederick and I had a lot of discussions about this, and he's kind of been trying to write it up. Give us your best shot at the relationship of Zen to the martial arts. And I don't necessarily mean historically or anything like that, but
No, practical.
qualitatively, practically, pragmatically.
Okay, so if you're a martial artist, of sincere martial artist, spending some time with it and so forth. One thing that you have to develop, and you develop if you stick around, etc. If you're decent, if you have a half decent teacher, is to get into the state of mind, which I don't know, there are fancy names for it, Wu Wei or something like, where you're not really thinking, you're just acting as necessary. So in Buddhism, it's not a Zen called functioning. Function. You learn to function without thinking. Okay. So that's not very. It's pretty easy for a martial artist for a couple of years to develop this. I think for some people who sit, for example, on the other hand, Zen people and so forth, it takes more time, and I'll try to explain why. But the problem is, so everything has a plus and a minus. For martial artists, the plus is they can develop this sense fairly quickly. But the minus is they associate it with martial arts. They associate it with combat situation. And as soon as they get out, it's not a threat, there's no problem. They can just do the stupid things that everybody else does. Okay. I think for Buddhists, the trick and the catch is peace. They meditate, they kind of get used to the peace. And if the peace is broken, sometimes I can be irritated. But so once you get out in the street, to keep that is very, very difficult. So it takes a long time. So that's kind of left and right to that.
Matsuoka Roshi once said, if you had Zen, you could beat a superior opponent, an opponent who had superior waza, a technique, if you had Zen that anchors you, something like that.
I think so. You can. I mean, I'm 72. I don't go looking for trouble, but I can see things now that I couldn't see like 30, 40 years ago. I mean, you can see situations and you can just kind of pull out of it before they even think about it or something like that. I mean, it sounds mystical. There's samurai stories, blah, blah, blah. But it's real in the sense that you can see things that with training, you can see things. And with Zen is the same thing. I mean, if you learn, I mean, what did Buddha said? I know all minds. Why? Because I know my mind, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but it's kind of like that. If you get to know yourself, then you get to know everybody else in a way.
It's what Dogen called the eye of practice. The ocean looks circular, doesn't look any other way. You can see and understand only so far as your eye of practice can reach. So as a medical doctor examined us in Nagano when we were there in 1989, and he diagnosed me by looking in my eyes and taking my pulse, and we had done acupuncture. And he just ran down the list of everything that I needed to take care of. And that was his eye of practice. He'd seen thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So I think that's what you're getting at, is it trains you to see things differently, or to see things that nobody else is going to see.
I think it's true, and especially as you get older, no matter what, whether you train this or that, you get to know people. You can look at somebody who's 50 years younger than you, and you can tell a lot of things about them without even. So you don't need Buddhism or martial arts for that, but just as aging and as some wisdom develops, if you pay attention, then that's what happens.
Good. So anything else you want to say? What's important?
What's important? Can I read half a page?
Please.
Yeah. Okay. This is the last kind of story in my book. They're all short stories and dialogues and this and that, but this is directly related to this, and it's in real life. So this is the last story. It's called The Whole Story. Reggie says, I told this guy the whole story about birth and death. Took about 2 hours. The sun was good, just down enough to warm us up. 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So that's how long it takes if they understand it, which he did. Then he went back to his new Audi, which I made sure to admire for a minute. He was happy, and I was happy too.
So that's the bit about the guy who wanted the new car and got a brand new Audi.
Yeah. Now this actually happened. Yeah, this is exactly like this. He's some kind of therapist, psychiatrist, and we talked about birth and death, and I gave him the rant. Took 2 hours, and then he says, "Let me go to my car." I said, "I'll walk you to your car." And there's this big Audi. I mean, so this guy's making money. I said, "Oh, what a wonderful car! I wish I could, do that and so forth." He was happy about that, but he understood a lot. I think he understood pretty much everything. So thank you, Sensei.
Wonderful.
Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful. So let's stop here to see if there are any questions, and then we have a little bit more, some slides to share. Well, we have one comment here, Taizan.
One quick memory that came back to me when you were talking about the mountain sitting. I remember when Hojo was giving me my Dharma name at Jukai, he started off with Tai Yama, Great Mountain, and Matsuoka corrected that, said, yeah, Yama does mean mountain, but in this context, that's the wrong word to use. Instead, use Tai Zan, Great Mountain. Do you remember that?
Yeah. There's Okamura Roshi put out a book on naming Dharma names, and there are Americans make funny mistakes. We were at a situation, somebody talked about this. Was it Gareth Young, maybe? He said Okamura was at a ceremony where somebody was giving a Dharma name, and Okamura started laughing, giggling and laughing. He couldn't contain himself. They asked him what was funny, and he said, "You just called him or her a lot full of weeds," or something like that, like a lot full of weeds. And somebody in the room said, "I'd love to have that Dharma name." So what's your Dharma name mean? Fumon. It's a gate.
It's a big gate, universal gate.
Universal gate. And your Dharma name means?
Mine is Taizan, which is Great Mountain.
Yeah. And there's a tradition where you share a name, like Tai Un is my Dharma name. We now use the Un as our formal family name. So when you get a second name, it will include Un, which means cloud. Oh. So my name, Tai Un, means great cloud. And Matsuoka explained that flying high in the sky, no barriers anywhere. So the aspirational aspect is for me to find no barriers anywhere. Of course, every time I turn around, there's another barrier. So let's go to the slides now. Oh, wait, we didn't do questions. In-house? Anything? You afraid to ask no more?
Everybody's afraid to ask me anything.
You might punch them out.
Happens a lot.
How about on board? You guys don't have to worry. You can't hit that hard or that far. Jimdo.
It's not so much a question as it is a comment. As being a newbie to this Sangha, I've been working with Sensei Zenku for about 5 years, I guess it is. And I never having met Okamura Roshi, or I'm sorry, Matsuoka Roshi or Kanga Roshi, all I've ever heard is stories and very little of them. So I'm learning a lot. And I'm developing this impression of Matsuoka Roshi as I mean, I've heard over the last couple of days that he could curse like a sailor, that he flirted hopelessly with waitresses, that he loved sake, and he sounds like a real character. Not what I would expect of a Roshi. But, you know, then I have to think about the fact that we are all individuals. We are all different human beings, and we bring something very different to our practices, each and every one of us. And it really makes me wish that I had had the opportunity to know this gentleman. So I will leave it at that. Thank you so much for your sharing.
That's another, put a fine point on that. Matsuoka Roshi would travel to Korea and Japan every year on tours, speaking tours. And Diane and I, my wife and I, went to LA once and met him in whatever Japantown is called there in LA. It's a big area of the city. And here he comes walking down the street wearing a toupee, big black toupee, and a Homburg hat, you know, a velvet tie, which, I mean, this is typical for him, a velvet tie with a fake diamond clip, a fake diamond ring, and a black business Japanese type suit. But I'd never seen him in this toupee before. But he told us that when he toured Korea and Japan, they don't trust the shave head monks over there. So he wears a toupee so that when he gives a talk, they listen to him. Who knows if that's true or not? There was always something like that with him. It was wonderful. Teshin knew him too. Teshin, I assume you're going to talk about Matsuoka at some point during the retreat. Chime in anytime.
Yes, Hokai and I speak tomorrow, but I would interject just a information notice that the online Tuesday Dharma study via Zoom meetings starting in November and December will be covering Reggie Plays the Zen card, and Fuman will be taking part.
Huh.
Thank you for mentioning. So anyone else have something? Yes.
I guess I would say I've heard the anecdotes about Matsuoka being a character. My encounters with him, I was impressed with his gravitas, which is not to say that he was humorless or anything like that, but he took our practice seriously, and that that also comes across in the book, the Kyosaku, which I've been reading. I remember particularly where he talks about a letter that he received from one of his students who had gone to San Francisco and attended the temple there, and that they seemed so serious about the practice, and why couldn't our temple be like that? And then Matsuoka used that as a springboard to kind of, you know, shake a finger at, you know, you need to be more disciplined. You need to do your gashos. You don't argue about Zen. Listen to your teacher. You know, speak softly. And he was serious about it. He said, you know, you got to come more than just on Sundays.
Yeah. Stuart, tell him what he would say when somebody was expounding the Dharma in the back room and going overboard with it. Matsuoka would
He
over to them and say,
yeah, it's, just your opinion. Somebody
Right.
who's really flapping their gums, trying to impress everybody, especially him, and he never disagreed. He never argued. It would just be, oh, just your opinion.
Yep.
Shut the thing down.
That would usually shut them up. But
Yeah.
we've run into all kinds of things here. We've had two massive resignations of the entire board of directors. We've had people come in here and thinking they should run the place rather than me, and so on and on. I haven't always said this, but in those cases, I've always thought you wouldn't last 5 minutes with Matsuoka. You wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes with Matsuoka.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's all, if there's no more, then let's put on the ordination slides. It doesn't matter what the order.
Oops.
I'm so glad Kosets is here.
Yeah, coordination slide.
Just the ordination.
And then I will share the screen.
Okay.
Patient for a second.
There's one of these slides where I look a little bit like you. And go ahead, slide, not this one. So are we sharing? Yes,
Do you see the image, guys?
We see it.
we see it.
Okay.
Do you online see the image?
Everybody see it?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. So this is Mike Weiss on the left, and that's me on the right. And here's Matsuoka, and you can see it was a railroad apartment. This would be the dining room, and the front area there would be the living room. And so we could see, I guess, upwards of a couple dozen people, not too many. Behind us would be the hallway to the bathroom and the kitchen, and Sensei's bedroom is off to the side, and the back porch where we go back and have tea. And next slide. Oh, I have a story about that's a wedding slide. Let's
Well,
don't do that.
you didn't give me a sequence, so.
Oh, all right. Just group them by yeah. So this is an important one. I was teaching people to do prostration bows, and you know the way we put our wrap our fingers around our thumb when we do the walking meditation. I thought he had us do that because he would often hold his hands like that with his fingers wrapped around his thumb, which is very Japanese. So I went back and looked at this, and you can see our thumbs are out to the side. So that's a small detail, I know, but he taught us Sojiji style ceremonies and protocols, which are different from what other people do. Okay, please,
Yeah.
next slide.
I see what you see. I don't know what's coming up next.
Oh, okay. So, well, we'll just skip the wedding ones. This is a shot of, that's Kongo Roshi over on the left and Ray Vaughn on the right. So this is the main temple altar, which is against the far wall of the what would have been the dining room. The door to the right here goes back to the back of the apartment. And this had to be near Hanamatsuri or something like that, where it's all decked out. It was often quite ornate like this, and you could see the food for the hungry ghosts on the altar there. So very, very traditional, the lanterns and so forth, and his beautiful okesa that he wore. And so that's about the age I met him. As I said, is a little older than that formal portrait.
So his okesa has got that kind of artistic pattern on it.
Yeah, it's like damask.
Oh, interesting.
And
Is that the toupee or is that his hair?
is that the what?
Is that the toupee or is that his hair?
No, that's his hair.
Oh,
But then later he shaved it and he started wearing it. And I've always wondered what that. I wish I could find that book that he used for these ceremonies. I have no idea what it is. Soto Shu may have had a book that we didn't know about. I had to basically take down all the notes and put all the ceremonies together. Okay, next slide. So here he's giving us the stick. Just wanted you to know that I also get hit with a stick. And I need somebody here to start training. I was thinking maybe you'd train because I need the stick.
I've had the training. If you can give me a refresher,
Right.
I'm sure I can remember.
You need to train on me because I need the stick more than ever. So part of the ceremony is being struck with a stick, and that's the connection to the teacher. He called it the direct teaching. This is the direct transmission of the Dharma.
I thought I remembered getting the stick during Jukai.
Yeah, he did. No, it's in Shuken Tokudo.
Oh, Jukai. Okay.
So Mike Wise here, he would stay there once in a while and take care of the place when Sensei was gone. Now, I was there one day. The schedule was very simple. Thursdays evenings, Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and then Sunday at 10 and 2. And one day, a homeless person came to the door, knocked on the door, and was looking for some food, something to eat. So I went to the refrigerator and I found this nice large piece of Swiss cheese. And I cut a big chunk off of it and gave it to this homeless person. Turned out that was a special piece of cheese my wife had bought for somebody as a gift. So you never know the karmic consequences of what you do. Next slide, please. So this is an initiation ceremony in Long Beach, and you can see he's got a similar setup there, simple table, got the komaku, the incense burner on the front there, and for ceremony you always have the butsudan altar behind you and a small table in front of you, and you stand across from it. So these are some of his students in Long Beach. Now I had to be there to take this picture. Next slide. This is Brian Price's wedding, and this is a good enough one to enter into the wedding series if that's where it's going to go. That's at Watershed, and that's across the creek for those of you who've been there. That's the arch that we now walk under and the trail up to the Zen Center. So it's been moved from here, which is on the other side of the creek, it's been moved down on the path. Next slide. So this is the funny hat series. We've got him in a series of sort of ridiculous looking hats. This is when he's doing a wedding in Long Beach. And this horse hat is like a rook on a chessboard. There's some sort of symbolism associated with that, which I have no idea. And there's this whisk horsehair. It's called Hossu, Hossu, which is interesting because it sounds like horse. And it's made of horsehair. That's the whisk that you whisk the flies and mosquitoes away with.
This is the dust whisk.
Yep.
From the.
Yep. So next slide. So this is Diane and myself with Matsuoka, and you can see his age there starting to bald. This is where I look a little bit like Daniel. Next slide. That's brother-in-law Peter, my sister Judy, some of the kids. This was out in the woods, hot sunny day in May. I'm lugging this big Buddha statue around looking for a place to put it, sweating like a horse. We're all on it.
This is where?
This is northeast side of Atlanta, just up in the suburbs here, at a place which is now a Unitarian church, but at this time friends of ours owned a house there, lived there. So we did it in the woods. Next, please.
Oh, let's see.
Just keep going, see if you find another wedding picture. That may be all of them. Okay. So, and I don't really know the point of showing those. It's just to show that this has been going on a long time. We were hippie dippies, unreformed hippies at that time, but segueing into Zen.
What year would that have been?
That would have been 1975.
I feel like there's one more year.
There may be another one.
So,
Okay, that's good.
oh, yeah. I can create a weird mix of formats.
Oh, okay. So this shows the actual ceremony. See, there's the little table, one of my 2x2 tables with a glass top I brought out for the altar. And we are doing the recitation. Woody Bates from Coca-Cola was there, and that's Dougie, her younger brother or her older brother. He was a bass player in Chicago, played with 4 different bands, different kinds of bands in Chicago. That's my son looking up at me, and Tace, his cousin. This is our daughter, Holly, looking up at us. That's from my first marriage. Lots of friends came. And my sister did the catering, and she made tacos. And he came to another dinner later, and it was something else. And he said, "Oh, I thought you only ate taco." The Mexican food did not impress him, I suppose. I think that's it. So thank you very much for pictures. Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a little pictorial history. What Matsuoka was dealing with in his early days, he had to stand at the vestibule, a very small vestibule where he'd come in off Halstead Street, door right here into the Zendo, with a big basket full of clean white socks, all rolled up in balls. Because in those,
Right.
the guys would come walking in off the street barefoot and walk into there and want to sit on his cushions. He could not grasp this. He could not understand this. So he bought all these socks, laundered them every time, and we'd give everybody a pair of white socks to put on before they could go in the door. He had to be aghast at the culture or lack of culture. So that's really all I have.
Happy
Tonight.
anniversary, Roshi. Happy 50th anniversary. What are you
And
doing
that-
for celebration? What are you doing with Diane for celebrating?
That was in May. So it's over.
What did you do?
We stayed home.
Okay, good. Yeah, you've been married one more year than us. We married in 76, Teresa and I.
I'm not sure whether to celebrate or something else.
No, you should celebrate. I think you're very fortunate.
Yeah, me too. It's like somebody was talking about Sasaki. I think he's 100 years old and still chasing women. Yeah,
Who's that?
Sasaki Roshi. He was pretty. You have to,
Well,
you don't know whether to cheer him on or condemn him. They say Dharma of married life is the most difficult of dharmas. So anybody else have anything else? Are we in 8:14? We got a few minutes left. Comments? Question? Everybody's stunned. How about you, Cosette? You haven't said anything behind the curtain over there.
No, I'm just enjoying the live show and the discussion. I mean, I didn't know Maxwell. I don't have anything to contribute. So
He says he didn't know him, so he doesn't have anything to contribute. Well, I think you contributed very well in your talk. So we're looking forward to tomorrow, and then on Sunday, we'll have another kind of panel where we're going to run the videos. And I think the way we want to do that is conduct kind of a round robin with each of those, starting with each of those who actually met Matsuoka, making a comment, and then everybody else. So it'll be that simple.
excuse me. Does everybody on this call know what videos you're referring to?
The videos that I'm referring to, Cosette, could you come over and explain a little bit? You might have to be closer to the mic.
So you may recall, it's actually on the YouTube channel. There is an old VHS video from the Atlanta Candler Park location, a couple of videos of when Matsuoka was visiting one time. And the video quality was pretty poor. The audio quality was really poor. I think Zenku referred to them in your opening remarks, and you said there were some wonderful talks. The really meaty talks, and I said, "Gee, I want to go listen to that." And I tried to listen, and it was just painful to try and deal with that bad audio. I really struggle with poor quality audio, and I thought, we have AI technology now, so I played around with it and really enhanced the audio quality. I think you'll be impressed. So I stripped out the talks, enhanced the audio. I handed them off to is Daniel here? Yeah, handed them off to Daniel. He paired it back up with the video sections and cropped out, the chanting stuff. So we have two talks, which you can actually hear and understand. And when I played a sample for Hojo, he was very impressed with hearing Matsuoka's voice. He said it was a very good representation.
It's just stunning. It's especially for that period of time to have a document, such an accurate, crisp, clear document of Matsuoka. It's like bringing him back from the dead. It's like a ghost. It's very spooky.
And this is a
Question about
video,
that.
not just audio. This is a video, not just audio, so we'll get to see him speak.
Yes. So, so it really is helpful because it was working with poor quality audio. So, and he has a very strong accent. So it helps. You can see him talking about, Zen is whole body, not just in your head. So you can see his hand motions and things, and it helps. So yes, it is with the video. It's not great quality video, but it does help.
Great.
And as you said, this is one of the good uses of AI. We
Yes.
be happy about.
Not one of the
Is this tomorrow? Is tomorrow?
Well,
I think you said something.
Sunday, yeah, we'll run Sunday morning, and that will not be the
That's
same as the film coming up next month. Yes, we see some hands up, Zinku.
Yeah, no, I wanted to be clear. Are we going to see that on Sunday? Is that what is being said?
Yes,
Wonderful. That
we're
sounds
going
great.
to run that as the talk, and there are two of them. One is 20 minutes.
One's 19 and one's 12.
One's 19 and one's
That's
12.
great.
So it'll take about the right amount of time, 20
Yeah.
some minutes.
And
So we'll see that, and then that will be we talk about.
And we'll publish these on the YouTube channel and put links out so that you can go look at them at any time.
Yes.
It's not a one-time showing.
And Daniel, I think you said there's technology to improve the video as well.
I tried, but the AI didn't really do much, but I did kind of tweak the picture of
But I also shared them with Chase, and he said he was going to try, maybe.
Okay.
So
we might get a cleaner, crisper video as well. And those will definitely be part of the film.
Yeah.
I see Tessen.
Yeah, it's been a while since I'm just going back a long ways on this. Is one of the videos of him giving a sermon at a wedding? Am I hallucinating that?
No, it's not a wedding. It was there was probably a discipleship ceremony for Corolla and I think John Cooper, I think Arthur Stovall.
Okay.
Well, that was the event that happened, or the ceremony that happened that time. And everybody should understand that Stewart has taken over the producer role on the film. So he's working with Chase to bring it to fruition, hopefully this next year, which will be, again, a banner year for us. 2026 anniversary. Thoughts on anything? Okay, anything? Okay, I think that's it. I guess we close with 4 vows. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Karmic gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Illusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Karmic gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Illusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Karmic gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it.